So this is the ace match. This map is Ohana. This matchup is Protoss versus Protoss. And in the top left-hand corner, we have the player who took game number 1, dropped game number 2, hoping to win this to go to the finals. It is our green Protoss, Clarity's Believe.
And he is going up against the purple, the Fuchsia Protoss, a guy we actually haven't heard of before, but is doing very well in our tournament today.
You will hear about him after this.
Exactly. It is Team exioNAmour.
Representing Exion with pride. The pride of Exion, the fuchsia purple, whatever color it is, that Protoss player, that oh so good, lovely Protossamour. So, what's happening right now?
Pylons are being built, probes are being built, and both these players, you know, they have a pretty good taste of what each other, like, that sounded really bad.
Feel for
feel for their playstyles. They know how they're going to be playing. I just totally messed up what I was wanting to say.
You know what I feel? I feel Amour's got big balls and Believe has a taste for them, you know? Oh, that didn't come out right. I'm so awkward. My name is Songers. So we do see heavy economy coming out for both of our players. But it's true. Amour is such an aggressive player.
Can we keep the talk about, you know, private parts just kind of low-key for this cast, please?
Every game you got to make mention about this stuff, Songers. So we do see heavy aggression coming out for Amour and macro-oriented play coming out for Believe. Typically is what I've seen, at least in the past 2 games, and typically from what I've seen from Believe, he tends to like that macro.
Exactly. Well, we saw in the past 2 games, there's always been some sort of really early aggression here. In the first game, it was a 2-gate proxy. In the second game, Amour, Believe went for a 3-gate rush. So I'm wondering in this game if both players are going to kind of sit back a little bit. And
in this case, Believe getting 2 assimilators, so a little reminiscent of the ideal of getting tech, not getting army. So we'll have to see how he's able to deal with whatever Amour tries to throw at him. Probe is moving out across the map right now, is going to try to either drop a pylon for aggression or maybe just get a little bit of a scout. Uncertain at this point, but who would be other than Amour?
So work account is exactly similar right now. Cybercore is going to finish up for Amour first, but not too much ahead of the one for Believe. Now with the Chrono Boost though, and how the players decide to spend it, we could see some differences in timing here. Now with the double gas, you can see that they're... Oh, I was just going to look at that, but that's okay. I wonder if there's going to be some sort of blink tech coming out from Amour. He really liked that in that first game.
He did. He used it very effectively and to great... to his advantage, really, was able to claw himself into that game as much as he could. Ultimately did drop that map, but there was a time where it felt like either way the game could have gone.
You see this probe inside the base. Amour's probe is inside Believe's base, and he's kind of hiding out. Oh, but
Believe's
not going to get
not really aware
there.
of it. This is something Protoss players always have to be worried about against Protoss players, or anybody against Protoss players. They can drop buildings and tech in any part of the map, which is hugely frustrating for so many other races, but it is one of the strengths of Protoss, and you need to exploit all your strengths to be good at this game.
So we can look at the build coming out from Believe here. He is producing sentries off of this one base. He's getting that robo, so this is going to be a 1-gate into a robo. So he's going to be doing some sort of expansion build. Just wants to be safe here. Like last time when the attack came from Amour in the first game, those Immortals saved his life.
And there you can see the warp gate technology coming out of the cybernetics core, courtesy of GameHeart, this game mod that you guys are watching now. If you guys haven't seen this, I hope we all get to see it a lot more in the future, because I absolutely love this.
Yeah, this is amazing.
I just spilled water all over my pants.
You peed yourself.
I didn't realize that there was so much water in that bottle. I had no idea. But at any rate, yes, this is a custom mod. This is GameHeart. Go search him up on Google. Go tell him what an awesome job he is. Go tell Blizzard to contract this man and give him a job, pay him $1 million, and all that good stuff, all that esports goodness.
So with that first Immortal coming out for Believe, the expansion is going to be taken, but here comes the
at the natural of Believe. It looks like there's a confrontation. A bunch of stalkers are already here. This is the aggressive play we were talking about. One Immortal is already out. Will it get Actually, this Immortal's doing a great job. One Stalker already dead. 2 sentries die for their troubles. The last Stalker with only one. Oh, look at the beautiful micro play. Understanding the DPS and how quickly the Immortal can attack, moves it out just in time when he actually changed his focus.
2 of the sentries died there, though, so kind of behind. Nice trap there. That makes it worth it. That's all the Stalker's going to be taken out. Trying to get that sentry away, but he will be taken out. And it
almost
looks like the pressure has been stopped.
and saved enough time so that his other sentry doesn't die as well. So beautiful play by Believe. Probably he basically avoided a huge issue by letting those Stalkers run away and really get their way with those 2 sentries.
Exactly. Now he is going to be ahead with that Immortal, but it looks like Amour has his own Immortal as well. So both players having pretty similar builds, even though they had different startings. The end result was the same.
Indeed, those 5 Stalkers gone though will never
come
be
back to
back
haunt him,
and be
for
very,
sure.
very sad. But at the same time, oh, look at this. Robo's coming out for both. Sorry. Colossus bays are coming. They're not called Colossus.
I know,
bays,
they're robotics bays.
The Colossus bays coming out for both of the
Zeus.
players. So we're gonna see Colossus versus Colossus. This will be War of the Worlds. This will be lasers versus lasers. He who has the more Colossus wins.
This is true.
But at the same time, those mantras don't always hold true, because he who expands in Protoss versus Protoss usually loses. And yet Believe won the first game after trying to expand first.
That is true. I mean, when it comes down to it and how these high-level players, play, I don't think a lot of these mantras even apply to them
But they
anymore.
do. People do it all the time. When you watch like the mainstreams, they're like, "Oh, Protoss versus Protoss, whoever expands." It's just one of those truisms, because that's 400 minerals, and that's like 4 zealots.
But
That's
I guess so. But I mean, it really depends on how the previous, how the game has been going up to that point, right? So here I have a double Warp Prism drop. So this is something that Protoss players like to do, and it looks like the same thing is happening.
They have
on
been
both
studying
sides
each
of
other's builds. These players know each other or have map packs and can see what the other is doing.
So it looks like the Warp Prism speed for Believe is going to complete pretty soon. Yeah, Amour's going to still take a little while, but the Immortals are going to arrive, and we're going to see how Amour's going to deal with this.
Indeed, here comes the Warp Prism charging across the map, flying his brethren, lifting those Immortals, those oh-so-large Immortals, oh-so-devastating Immortals. At the same time, the Warp Prism for Amour is almost done. The Warp Speed for himself is almost done as well.
So speedy.
He will have to see if he can defend this. He will have to see if he does a counterattack.
Oh, and there goes the Immortals doing a heavy damage on this probe line over here. Probes are going to be pulled by, I believe. Warp Prism chasing Warp Prism for a second, and here come the double Immortals. We're going to see if the micro is good. The Warp Prism is getting targeted. He's going to pick up the Immortals, and he's going to get out of there.
He does get out of dodge. He is dropping his Immortals, does take a little bit of hull damage on one, is using the hardened shields of the other.
Nice.
Unfortunately, the damage by the Stalkers is almost enough to take down that Warp Prism. That would have been a huge pickup, but luckily the Warp Prism speed was researched and gave Believe that confidence that he could keep those Immortals in there a little bit longer.
On the backbone of this, Believe is teching up. He's getting his +1 weapons. His first Colossus is about to pop here, and here comes his production. He's making some more gateways. It seems like he's going to stay on this 2 base, and here comes the Warp Prism harass from Amour. But Stalkers are already in position.
3 Stalkers in position to receive this. Believe does know that it was going to be coming, because he did see the Warp Prism pop out, and by the time it came out, Warp Prism speed was done, so he knew he was using it for aggression. Here come the Immortals. They're getting popped into the very corner of the base, a part of the base that Believe has no idea that was vulnerable, and now the Stalkers going to have to come into play and try to deal with these Immortals. The Immortals with their hardened shield are able to defend quickly against the slow attack speed of those Stalkers. The Stalkers aren't being baited out of position. He wants to just attack with his sentries and Colossus, and it's the right decision. Amour has to leave with his 2 bases, or with his 2 Immortals and his tail between his legs.
Yeah, and meanwhile the drop here from Believe hasn't stopped yet as well. He is also dropping Immortals in with these 2 patrolling Stalkers. They might get the Warp Prism. The Warp Prism does not go down. Oh, and it does. So these Immortals are trapped here. This will be their last stand. Nice force field, trapping actually his own Zealot over there. But Immortals doing so much, and focus firing on the Stalkers. He almost killed all the Stalkers.
Indeed. Tried to get as much damage done as he possibly could. Baited out a force field as well. Still, his 2 Immortals are alive, so now this represents a huge threat for Believe that he has to deal with. He has to answer this, because his was answered easily. 1 Immortal does go down, only 1 remains.
So if we look at Colossus count right now, we have Believe sitting at 2 with Believe at 1. I see 2 Colossus being produced. Someone's going double Robo.
Oh, double Robo. Whoever has more Colossus usually wins in this matchup. So, Believe knowing this advantage that the Robos do give, or sorry, that the Colossus do give him, definitely trying to pump out as many as he possibly can. A huge expense. That's 1 pylon per Colossus. That is a massive amount of minerals that is spent into this, but it is well worth it for to win you the battle.
And both the players have got Colossus range at the same time. If we look at this GameHeart UI, you can see the top corner there. We see the +1 weapon is already complete for Believe. He is working on his +2 right now.
And you can also see the thermal lance being researched back there at the base of Amour. He is going with 2 stalkers and an immortal back into the base of Believe. Believe might have left himself vulnerable, believing that he scared off the immortal threat when he destroyed that one immortal, but not the case. This pylon is going to be taken down quickly. Oh, this... is he going to be able to take it down? It'll be a huge pickup, and it survives with but 1 stalker hit. But 1 stalker hit for its life.
That's all it needs. And it looks like the third base for Believe is going up here. He is feeling pretty safe, especially with the amount of Colossus he has right now. He was able to hold off the harass in the back. He has Colossus defending the front. He can grab his third.
Man, that barely faded in last red box of that health. So the Colossus numbers for Believe are much higher than that of Amour. Amour is still building 1 at a time, but by the time that these 2 battles meet, if it will be Deathball versus Deathball, it will not be in Amour's favor. He will need to find a way to separate Believe's army if he wants to take on that many Colossus.
Amour, probably noticing this, did drop down to 2nd Robo, so he's going to be trying to play catch-up now, but, you know, if Believe doesn't stop producing Colossus, Amour's never going to catch up.
Now, I know that Believe actually practices a lot with Root Minigun, and on Minigun stream, which I watch so often, he does talk about numbers of units that you want it to optimize your chances, and I believe he doesn't ever like to go above a Colossus, if I'm not mistaken, and very few Stalkers at this point in PvP. They're just not worth it, he believes. Right. So you can see this emulated exactly in the build that Believe is going. If we actually look at Believe's army composition, you can see
6 Colossus right now, and you're right, only 2 more being produced, and I think once these 2 are produced, he might actually stop.
This might be the timing that he decides to push out with. He will want to get more Zealots.
Another Colossus being queued up at all.
Yeah, so we'll see ultimately how it ends up happening. The third base for Amour is going up only after the third base of Believe. So this is a 3-base game, but Believe ahead in Colossus, ahead in bases and saturation. So really this is Believe's game to lose.
I think what Believe is going to be waiting for is now he's saturating this base. He knows he has it ahead of his opponent. He's just going to defend. He's going to get that tech up, the tech that he needs. We saw Charge being researched, and Charge actually just completed. Also Templar Archives that just completed as well. Now with the Dark Shrine also coming up, he's getting all the tech he needs to kind of get that endgame Protoss versus Protoss army, which contains Colossus, Archons, and Charge Lots.
Those Archons being such beefy units, tanking so much damage and doing so much splash damage, especially if your opponent goes Zealot heavy. So very good choice for Believe. It looks like he will be, like you said, going for that timing with those units and that composition.
So it looks like here, if we look at just supply count, we have Believe up by 30. He also has +2 weapons. However, Amour is just starting +1, and you know, with the way the Protoss Deathball works, attack is just exponential. It makes your army so much stronger.
We do Amour, sorry, really needs to chrono boost those upgrades up. He needs to get back in this game. Already down 2 weapon upgrades, as you can see at the top of the GameHeart mod that we're using. Believe far superior in the upgrades. Charge is almost done for Amour, sorry, and he's also getting his Dark Shrine as well. So looks like both players are going to be trying to get some Archon versus Archon play.
So Amour is almost maxed out. I think with the next warp in, he will be maxed out. Decides to push out a little bit, at least wants to cover a bit more ground. This is while he is setting up his 4th base. So he's creating that pressure, allowing time and a distraction for that 4th base of his to be set up. So now he is at the front watchtower, closer to his opponent's base, and he does have the positioning advantage.
So Believe feels comfortable to push out all the way to the 2nd Xel'Naga tower, getting a huge amount of sight out on the map. Unfortunately, his army is so slow. If there was a counterattack at his 3rd, he might not be able to defend it well enough, which is exactly what's happening with just 1 Zealot, but it's going to get cleaned up by this cannon after killing 1 probe. Meanwhile, Believe just keeps reinforcing his army, now producing Immortals instead of Colossus, because the Colossus, the Colossus can't move through each other. They're not like Terran buildings, so they can't stand inside of each other. They always have to bump and jostle against each other. So after a certain number,
it looks like there's a drop going on in Amour's base. It's going to be a DT drop but the cannon is able to spot it, and not too much damage was being done right there. So right now, if we're looking at Believe's Believe, what can he do? He can just basically sit outside, do the soft contain, tech up, get his mothership, but it looks like he wants to fight, but the positioning for Amour is just so good. His Colossus are so spread out, a lot of splash damage not being taken here, but it just looks like the plus attack is just too much, and his army's getting totally shredded.
That +3 attack was just melting this army of the Protoss. The spread was great by Amour, but really there's nothing that Amour can do once you lose that army. It is GG indeed in Protoss versus